No. One of the things I will tell you that my Chinese friends told me, that my Japanese friends actually told me, not that there is a direct correlation between Chinese and Japanese people. One of the things they both explained to me, and friends in both countries, that unless you're going to be there for nearly a decade or more, don't waste time trying to learn the language. It's such a distinctly different language. One of my friends had studied for 4 years before he understood that he was terrible at it. It's a
Wow.
fundamentally different language, and unless you plan on investing your life into it, it's a learning Portuguese. I take Portuguese classes for 4 hours a day,
4
and
hours.
yeah, reading, writing, spoken. Yeah, yeah. Have you picked up a second language, by the way?
Fairly all right with French. I've kind of had to because her family we get together and well, her mom at the very least, she speaks English, but French is coming along, and now I'm working on Spanish for once again. Good woman, right? Inspires you to become better because we're deciding whether we want to go to Brazil or I mean not Brazil, Argentina or Portugal because this for the new year and spend it with one side of our family or the other. So I just want to. So now I'm expanding my language abilities far beyond what I thought I ever was going to
How
because
are
I
you
was one of
learning?
those. Mostly reading and talking, and then when I want to have French conversations, I'll have them with her, and she'll talk back to me and help me get sharper with words. Spanish, I gotta find some people to speak Spanish with around. Right now, I only have people to write with. I know on Skype there are a lot of tutors, which I haven't had a chance to pick up and
Well,
go with.
I would say Duolingo is a fun app you can use on your phone that helps with reading and writing. But I'll
Yeah,
give you some
I've been
advice.
using Duo. Yeah.
Good, good, good. Well, another piece of advice I'll give you that I gave to some other people is get on Meetup.com. If they don't have a local Spanish or a local French group for you, start one.
Huh.
It doesn't
You think
matter how
even though
little you.
even with my not not developed skills, you think that it will work?
Yeah, because somebody listen. There's somebody in your city who speaks it better than you do. Start attracting
That's,
people
that's true.
and say,
That
"Hey,
is
we're going to get
good.
together at this pizzeria."
Huh. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, one of the things that I learned how to do very early is I'm very, very good at gathering groups of people around a premise. And there are
Okay.
hundreds of ways to do it. Again, with technology as well, I can go into any city, and one of the ways I make new friends is I just find a group, or a lot of times I'll start a group based on whatever I'm interested in at the time, and just start amassing people to come and hang out with me. Let's all meet up and talk about literature on Friday at the pizza joint. Let's all get together and talk about blacksmithing on next Wednesday.
Oh, no kidding. And it's I did that when I moved, and I moved suddenly. It wasn't even a thing I was expecting. But when I did, my license was suspended, so I couldn't get a car, and I was kind of isolated for a little while. And when I moved to LA, at this point, this was like 6 years ago, five years
Uh
ago. What
huh.
is it, 2017? Yeah, six
Right.
years ago. It was in LA, and I had to do just that. I did it around chess, though. I love chess, and then found a lot of chess players in Santa Monica, particularly.
Well, have you started a new chess club there?
No, but the well, no, I still I started going to the one and started. I took a pretty active role in the one on the university one and chess club there and played with the guys people there and the other University of Pittsburgh. They were a pretty awesome meetup too.
Wow.
So I'm starting to get involved with the local chessing, which is great because chess players are cool, quirky people, man. Which is just more interesting times.
And there you go. That's how you really start meeting people and putting together huge groups of people just around a premise. And it doesn't have to be about being smart or being good. It's just about finding different ways to put yourself in situations where you can meet other people. And I think
So
that's
now, how long have you been down in Brazil?
two
For
and a half
how?
years.
2.5 years. Now, do you think that's going to be the final stop?
No, of course not.
Or
What?
anything, or I'll rephrase that because I don't even like that phrasing. Now that I hear it out of my mouth. Significant roots, like starting a family down there or something. How we go? There's that.
No, no, that's not. Having children is not in my future.
Oh,
Uh,
word.
no, that's not. Well, I have two things that I'll tell you. One, working as a financial professional really kind of jades you because very few people really know the true cost of putting a child through a decent education. Not an elite education. I don't mean Ivy League. I mean a daycare where they don't tie them to a chair. I mean, no, I'm being serious. The cost of putting a child into a reasonable school, reasonable high school, is astronomical. Also, and this is a very self-serving interest, I get to lead again that life of just a rogue and a vagabond,
Yeah,
rolling from country to country. I've been, I believe that I could be a good responsible father, but I know that I would be a good responsible father because I'm aware of part of my lifestyle that I would have to give up. Children need stability.
yeah, that's 100.
Right now, I have the freedom to say, let's say the next Grand Theft Auto or Elder Scrolls or Fallout comes out next month. I can just not work for a month, live on my savings, or if I have no savings, eat chicken and tuna every day and play nothing but video games for an entire month and be totally happy. Totally happy doing it. You can't do that if you
That's
have a kid.
no, you can't, man. See, that's where when I think about it, because to me it's not an emotional decision. It's like, okay, we have this thing, it's gonna be around. Our lives are gonna go on hold for at least 7 years, right? That's how what I always say. Whether that's true or not, I'm probably under or overshooting it, but that's my estimate. And then I think about all the things I got to give up and do, and I'm like, okay, would this be worth it or not? I don't know. And part of it is because I came from such a shitty. I mean, it wasn't too bad, but it was pretty bad. Pretty bad childhood, and I always wanted to build my own family. But I always think, man, I'm fortunate that I was blessed with a rational mom because not exactly. I didn't think about it from that aspect, just like the child care, or rather the mid part, like getting them into a decent school district and where you have to live and what you got to spend and make to live there.
Right. Well, most people,
So,
here's the thing, most people don't think of it until it happens, and then they realize I'm going to have to give up. Like, I'll give you an example. I argue with people that I'm related to who think I'm rich. I've been well off in the past, but I'm far from that now. The difference is I don't have any debt and I don't have any children. So one fucking 100% of every dollar I make goes into me and having fun and jujitsu and eating steaks. So it looks like I'm rich because I just get to lead this amazing lifestyle. It's not being rich. Again, working as a financial professional, you learn, like I had clients that were very, very wealthy. And while I taught them about mutual funds and life insurance, they taught me about how wealth is actually used. Rule number one about having more than most people, don't owe anybody. I cut up my credit card when I was 24 years old. I haven't had a credit card since then because credit
no,
cards are very specifically designed to track you.
okay.
What were you going to say?
No, man. It's just really eye opening because I came to I came to that very similar conclusion earlier this year when I was dealing with credit. I had run up when I was from bills I had made right before I was fighting on television, and I was like, wow, man. This is stupid, right? Right, and it's
Yeah.
not like it's like it's a lot of money or anything, but I'm just like, wow, this is dumb. I didn't need like, well, why would I pay for this way?
Right. Well, here's what I'll tell you. We can have, again, a side conversation off the podcast about it. But if I can leave you with one piece of advice after this phone call, is don't even wake up your old woman. You just go into your room, you take out your credit cards, and you cut it into very small pieces and put it in the garbage. That's the first step. And it's painful. I know you think it might be bad, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to tell you that everybody gets caught. Now, some people get caught young, some people get caught old, but the credit industry did not become what it is by not understanding that they have a large enough sample size to know they're going to get you.
Huh. That really changed my whole mind. Like you're right. They have to know. They gotta know, right? they couldn't profit if everybody did it right.
Exactly. And they don't want. Now here's the thing: they want you to have your credit. They just want you to all. It's like in the movies. You ever see vampire movies where you have a horde or a nest of vampires, and there are always two styles: the action vampires that go out every night and grab somebody by the face and they drink their blood. But then you have the ones where you have these fancy vampires that think it's better, instead of going out every night and killing a random person, they just keep 20 or 30 people chained up in the basement and they feed off of them for decades. Yeah,
Yeah.
guess which one you are? You're the one chained in the basement so they can slowly bleed you. They don't want you to die. They don't want you to die. They want you to always have a light at the end of the tunnel that if you just make it to the next month or the next payment or the next year, you'll be more financial soluble, and they just slowly bleed you. Just that little bit, just so you pass out from the bite, but not so you die.
Huh. Man, that's a powerful analogy, man. Huh.
And they are not coming to the table with clean hands. That's the thing. I listened to a podcast called Kitchen Table, and they had a discussion on being responsible with your money. And one of the things that they said that I actually corrected them on, I actually did a writing about it, is when I explained to them, they're looking at things as if the credit industry was a responsible player. They know
Okay.
who to get. Why is it not against federal law to give free Frisbees and T-shirts to freshmen in return for them signing up for a credit card?
Man, that shit. Right. Why is that not against the law?
Yeah, because here's the thing. They understand how it works. They're preying on people. So don't think that these are people in an industry that just give everyone a fair chance and some people fuck it up. No, they are going to get you. They understand. They have designs on you from the word go. And the earlier they can get you indoctrinated into that system, into believing credit is a good thing, the longer they can have you. I have friends on Facebook and social media that proudly take pictures of their black credit cards, the advanced level credit card, and it breaks my heart. Now, if somebody doesn't ask me for advice, I'm not telling them, but it breaks my heart because I realize they got you. You don't know it, but they got you. They got you.
Yeah, yeah. Holy shit, man. Huh. Yeah, it's funny, man. I remember thinking how excited I was that I qualified for an American Express. I remember thinking, oh shit, man, I made it, man. I got American Express. Ain't no limit on this thing, man. And I don't spend reckless. I was just like, man, this must be something cool. And it's just not. It's just another credit card. Like I remember when I like tried to get a benefit or something. It was just another credit card. There was nothing fancy about it. Just another credit card. Another way for me to pay interest on money that I'm spending, which blows my mind. Like once you get that, then it really like I was like okay, because I told her I was like my whole goal was I'm paying them off and getting rid of them. I got one I'm paying off and that's it. That'll be done probably by next month hopefully, and that's it. No more of them. But yeah, man, wow, that vampire analogy is gonna stick with me forever now. That's it.
You know,
Like that shit is man. That's smart.
it's a game of inches. You get better. It's a game of inches. It's like what you wrote about. If you want to make someone uncomfortable, improve your status relative to theirs. You know,
Yeah.
it's true. I have people that I knew growing up and that I loved. Some of them were relatives and family members. But when someone looks at you and realizes I'm not great, I'm just better than I was last year this time every year, that's a terrifying prospect. Again,
Oh,
it goes
dude.
back to that you're not supposed to do that.
I literally, man. I was a little surprised by how much traction it got. Cause you found me on Twitter, right?
Nope. I found you on. I don't know. It might have been. It was one of the other. I don't remember. I don't remember,
Well,
but I think someone mentioned. No, I'll tell you where I found you. You ready?
yeah.
And I want you to dig into this for me. I want you to give the context, and I want you to tell me the story. Slaves learning how to read.
Oh no, man. No, man. I thought we had touched base before then. Holy shit, yeah. You talking about the red pill thing?
Yeah, can you just give us that analogy? Because this is. I mean, you really dig into it, and this is your story to tell.
Yeah, yeah. That's just it's how I feel. It's how I feel about the red pill personally. I feel like one of the reasons why there's so much hate and vitriol. I mean, I really got it too this past May because I went out and gave a speech in in Boulder for this tech conference, and I didn't know the tech industry was infested with SJWs. And the speech was great. Like there were no incidences at the speech or anything. But I guess John, the guy who puts together the conference, he had some enemies from a
Well,
guy.
hold on. Back up. You said you used an acronym. You said SJW. What does that mean?
That's social justice warriors. All right, the people who basically have attacked anything, attack anything that appears to favor the masculine. I mean, I guess white guys say white masculine, but as far as I'm concerned, for the attacks I've received, certainly I learned being black doesn't protect you. So it's not a
Who told you that nonsense? But no, no,
man.
no. Give me the story about slaves
They,
reading. I
well,
want you to
well,
get to it.
okay, the slaves reading. So I put a tweet out. I said one of the reasons they hate the red pill is because it shows men the truth. That's what it's like. The reason why it was illegal to teach slaves to read. How much power do you have when you know how it really works? And that one of those tweets, man, they went. Someone went through my whole archive and like, I wish I could find it, man, because it was my best work personally, right? I got suspended on Twitter, man. It was crazy.
Wait. You got suspended for for
They
that
put me.
statement?
Well, not for that statement. I like to play the game when I realized I had a nice captive audience. Because you gotta remember, man, with this thing, Breitbart was in on it. I ended up on the front cover of Breitbart's tech section and Heat Street. So I'm gaining followers and selling books like hotcakes. So I'm like, man, I would just keep attacking these people. I went too far. And I got suspended because instead of just sitting, once I realized that the people who ran the conference didn't really have any issue, and didn't like these people either, then I started to retaliate. And I remember I was going to see Wonder Woman, and I said, and I tagged two of the feminists that had been attacking me, and I said, I'm going to go see Wonder Woman with my pink pussy hat. Does that make me a good feminist now? And I guess they reported it. And don't you know, the next morning I woke up to go to tweet. Have you ever been suspended on Twitter? When you get
I'm
suspended
not.
on Twitter,
I'm not on Twitter like that.
well, when you get suspended from Twitter, you go to log and you go to tweet, and then you get taken to another screen that goes, some features of your account have been suspended temporarily for tweets, such as, and then it shows what you got to delete, and then this counter starts, and then you get knocked out for 12 hours. And I just sat there, and I could look. You know what it was like? You ever see The Invisible? And the kid's dead, and he's looking at everybody working and living, and he's trying to like communicate. It was like that. Like I could see people on Twitter interacting and doing stuff, but I couldn't like
So
anything.
wait. Maybe I'm confused. You got suspended for saying teaching men about women is like teaching slaves how to read, or you got suspended for tweeting at the two women.
I got suspended for tweeting at the two women. The tweet about the season teaching slaves how to read. Nah, no one came after me for that. Thank goodness. But you know what it does? Like getting suspended for firing back, right? Now I'm all like paranoid about saying stuff because my whole operation. I mean, I got a decent mailing list, but Twitter allows me to reach so many people so much faster. So I don't like. I'm not going to get burnt. You're gonna have to try to burn me. Like I'm not gonna walk in any traps. I'm not gonna make a martyr of myself. Twitter is probably the sole provider of my income right now. No,
Oh
no, no.
man.
We're not gonna go. We're not gonna play that game for no reason. Like you're gonna have to really pick and pull. So when I got suspended with that, I was like, okay, how much fun is this worth having? So now I dial back. Now if somebody comes in my mentions with the fuckery, that's different. But because you gotta like specifically say you don't want them to harass at you. That's why people will say like don't at me, and then you gotta then they have to do it. But if they come and harass you first, that's different. So
Well, here's my question. In one of my personal policies, is I don't do hate dash anything. Like
Yeah.
I'm actually writing my own 40 for 40 that I'll publish soon.
Oh,
You
nice.
know, you know how you heard the term hate fucking, having sex with a girl you don't like. You have the term hate reading something just because it makes you angry. I don't hate tweet. I don't hate post. I don't do anything. If it makes me upset, I completely cut it out. That includes people, writing, writers, artists, regular people, family members. If you
Right.
think something that pisses
What
me
a
off,
great man, what a powerful policy. I tweet about this all the time. Man, like if you just ignore a thing you don't like, you like I don't think people understand how networks work, like mathematically. Every node you add to the network increases its power by 2 to the n, squared. So every time you share something you don't like, you're giving it more power, and no one
right?
wants to hear this because people love feeling negative, man. But
And
I don't.
here's the interesting part. You and I make our living off of our name, and I'm completely anti-fragile. And I had to teach some people a lesson that said some horrible things about me online. It's impossible to hurt me because my name is my reputation. The only thing you can do is introduce me to new people, and anyone who didn't like me wasn't going to like me anyway. But the few
Right.
people who do like me, I never would have met if it wasn't for you.
Exactly. And I'm almost completely anti. Like I mean, you can't accuse me of being no goddamn child molester, right? Now we got to fight or something like that. But other than that, I'm very close. I don't. It's funny having this conversation. I didn't realize how much it kind of psychologically bugs me that so much of my traffic is dependent on Twitter. But that's how I came up, and that's what I'll use until I transfer until my mailing list looks like my Twitter followers. So
Can I ask you to, when you post something, don't just post it on Twitter. Post it on Facebook with the link included, because that's how we had another conversation. Post it on
oh right,
Facebook.
yeah. I did
You know,
repost that. I meant to send that to you.
post it on Facebook Notes. Post a link to it on everything that you, because this for you, this is your business. It doesn't take much to take the hyperlink and a blurb about what it is and post it. Click it on every social media platform under your name, because you never know. But for me,
Right.
I write on my website. When I post something, I'll put it on my Twitter, which I think I have like, I don't know, I have almost no followers because my Twitter game isn't like that. But my website, what? My Twitter
No,
finger is not.
no, it's just funny you said that. Yeah, the way you said it, my Twitter game ain't tight, man.
Yeah, my Twitter game is not, because I never focused on it. I only focused on one thing: my website, yousefwatif.com. Everything else is periphery. It can come, it can go. Maybe you met me there, maybe you didn't. But I got where I am by people just commenting, and I have a network of friends who are other loud vocal people, so they'll just say, "Hey, check this dude out. Hey, check this dude out." And I write about a variety of subjects, so I'm going to catch you on some level. I might catch you on a weightlifting level. When I wrote one that I still get a lot of questions about. Have you ever? Do you follow Ice T, the actor rapper?
I don't follow, man. I know who he is. I don't
No,
think
no,
I
no.
follow like social
Let me
media.
tell you, you need to get on his Twitter. He
Huh.
drops jewels every now and then. He releases something called the Daily Game, just because he's one of the very few people that really were about that life before he got into being a professional musician and actor. And he'll tell you the reason he got into it is because a lot of his big homeboys when he was a young guy were getting caught with what they call LWAP, life without parole, and they told him, listen, man, don't be like me. Stick to the music and the acting. But one of the things he said on one of his Twitter, and I'm going to send you a link to it as well, he said, all a player needs is his health and his freedom. He said the old head used to tell him that when he was young, and that hit me. That's the one that got me right in the feelings. And I wrote, I wrote about all a player needs is his health and his freedom. And the first section I wrote about is his health. About lifting weights and working out. But when he said that, he said a lot of stuff. But that's the one that got me. But he talks all the time about just being better. But when he said the old players told him when he was a young man, he's 60-something years old, he said, all a player needs is his health and his freedom. And I couldn't find a better distillation of truth than that right there.
That is I never even like. Nah, I'm gonna get on it now. I just because I've never been to your website till now that you said it. Now I'm sitting here looking at your site, man. It's a good solid site, man. I like this.
And so what I would also say to you is I'm also sending you a bunch of links. I appreciate your comments on them whenever you see them. If you want to share them, that's great. But I wrote something called a player's needs because that's all a player needs. And I tell people I'm not a gangster, I'm not a rapper, I've never been a gangster rapper, but he puts that game out there, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful the stuff he puts out there. So I would definitely say you need to start following him seriously.
For sure, man. Yeah, man. Thank you for that, Sherry. Yeah.
When you read through his links, it really some eye-opening stuff, some very eye-opening stuff. What else did I want? Let me think. There was a couple of other things that I wanted to ask you about that you'd written about, and one of them, well, what you said, living next to crack dealers.
Oh yeah, man. I'm that. Whew.
Because here's the thing. Did you take a picture with Freeway Ricky Ross?
We lived. Oh yeah. He came out to the boxing gym I was at in California.
Now, here's the problem. What, and this is not an attack on your character or to in any way impugn you, but how do you reconcile wanting to be famous next to someone whose greatest accomplishment was selling poison at the behest of a federal government?
Right. So this is a great question. I'm about to just keep it as real as possible. So, okay, I actually didn't know who he was when he rolled up in the gym. My homeboy said, "Yo, you know who that is?" I said, "Nah, man, I don't know who that is. Who is that?" He goes, "That's Freeway Rick." And I was like, "Man, I thought he was fatter than that." And he goes, "No, not that Rick, the real Rick." I was like, "Oh, the real Rick." So I was like, "Okay, this would be a good picture to take." And it was a cool picture. I mean, I took the picture. Some people knew who knew who he was, and I just thought it'd be cool for the PR. And it just so happened, right? The gym was in Carson. The reason why he came through is because I don't know if you know LA, but Carson is right next to Compton. Where Freeway Rick made his name. And I guess he had just got out of. I feel like he just got out of prison, maybe within that year. And he heard about the gym we were doing and stopped down, and took pictures because I guess he was a celebrity. So I didn't. I mean, now I clearly know who he is, and I've got this picture and this. It's a picture I thought would go great with the article, and it's stashed away. And anytime somebody wants to go, "Hey man, who are you?" I'm like, "I met Freeway Rick." And they go, "Oh, you met the real crack dealer." So in terms of like, do I? I got enough bad experiences with crack to where, yeah, I'm sitting here like, man, you sold crack. But at the same time, I believe, man, if you put the crack in your mouth, man, I met a lot of crackheads. I only met one crackhead who was forced to smoke crack.
No. That's not what I mean. I'm not talking about the crackheads. I'm not even talking about Freeway Ricky Ross as an individual. I'm saying, how do you reconcile wanting to be famous with and share the fame and spotlight with someone whose only quality of note is selling poison, particularly poison people who look like you and I? Did that not in any way, I don't know, did it not cross your mind that maybe this is not someone I want to be seen shaking hands with? Or is fame the trump card?
Oh no, that crossed my mind. I was just taking the picture, effectively for this reaction, right? This somewhat of a shock value fact. Like, my buddy seen the picture. He messaged me, goes, "Man, what kind of people you meeting down there?" And I was like, "Hey, man, he came through, and just wanted to take some pictures." I don't really. I want to say I have a feeling about it, but I don't. like I understand your perspective, but to me, it's upon. I guess that would be the best way to think about it for me, or the best way to put it for me is like, this is a guy who's famous for selling dope to people, dope to black people, putting poison in the community, and doing it under the guise with the help of the government, which is why he's out of prison.
Right.
And I was like, okay, here's a cool picture that one day I'll use for something, or not use. I mean, until I put that article together, I don't think I had even uh, thought about that picture. May have shared it when it came up with my memories on Facebook. But no, I mean, the answers it didn't even cross my mind.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that was the one thing that you wrote that was kind of, coming from a family, especially where I can tell you I've seen addiction, and everyone has a choice to make in their life as far as what
Yeah.
they want to do and what they don't want to do. I still have a hard time with in any way glorifying, you know, um, the people who make that possible, be it the United States federal government or someone who looks just like me and you. So that picture surprised me, especially as someone who also had dealt with addiction. Your addiction happened to be alcohol, but
Yeah,
to know that
and
there are people
not only
who,
that, like, so, I mean, the article, right, is about what I had experienced living next to them, crackheads and crack dealers. And the picture seemed like I don't want to say appropriate, but yeah, appropriate. Because now maybe missing the mark, I will say that, putting a crack dealer. Well, it was a crack dealer, and it was about my experience living next to crack dealers and crackheads. But I didn't think like, this is me glorifying the dope game. Like I didn't look at it that way at all. But I can understand that interpretation for sure.
gotcha, gotcha. Well, I always believe in, I think lesser men I would never question. But I know that your ego is not fragile and that you're strong enough in your own convictions to at the very least be able to say, hey, this is why I did it. And it's not a matter of liking, it's just this is the way it is. I think
Yeah,
you and I have built reputations on being who we need to be.
yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, like, is Rick Ross a dude I would come to my dinner table? I mean, maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know, right? From what we know about Rick Ross, no. Is Rick Ross a was it a cool picture to get and then put in an article about crack dealers? I think absolutely. Now, whether we think that's glorifying the dealing of crack or whatever, that is a different discussion. But in terms of just the picture of me taking it to put it and match it in an article and having my archives like, oh, I got a picture with this guy. I I think it's a stretch to say I'm attempting to glorify it, especially as I'm writing an article.
Ooh, whoa, whoa. Now, here's the thing. We can't walk away from the fact that you're someone with a voice and who is looked up to, who you have even said people look at you as someone that motivates them. You don't feel you're lending credibility to someone by taking a picture next to them and smiling. You don't feel like you're extending your reputation and your name to someone who you took a picture with to smile.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. I'll go with that. The only
Your name?
defense and the only counter I would have to that is that the picture is 6 years or 5 years old. But
Oh, no, no,
uh,
no.
not
I, I saw it and it came up because here's the thing. We both know the internet is forever, right?
right.
Okay, so it's still there. So it was something that I knew I couldn't not ask you about because I'm
No,
a
that's a great question, man. It's a good hard question too. No, I'm and it makes me think. I never thought about that. To be 100% with you, never thought about it in that regard.
I always look
But
at it this way. When I write something, I was always taught, you know, um, when you have sex with a girl, do it like you might be going to war the next day and die. The hardest and best ever, every single time. When I write something and I post something online, there is somebody who's never seen anything I've ever done before, and this is going to be the first hit. So there's someone somewhere, some knucklehead kid who's interested in chess, boxing, and math, and somebody somewhere is gonna be like, "Oh, I heard some dude named Lattimore," and they're gonna click through maybe a Google search, and if that's what they see, there's never a second chance to make a first impression. And every
Huh.
time someone sees anything that you produce and put into the world, it's somebody's first impression.
Huh.
I'll even go farther as to say, one of the subtle manipulations that you learn when you have a large enough sample size that it's really weird to see in practices, that first impression thing. One of the things that my
Yes.
mentors taught me, particularly when I was working in the financial business, is that first 5 minutes someone sees you, you can give them an impression of you that will never go away. And some people are masters of doing that, regardless of what kind of person they are. They're just taking advantage of something we already know as a human trait. So, like I said, everything you do is somebody's first impression. Even worse, everything that someone looks at and can use against you. I'm not saying I'm that person, but there's somebody
No,
on
no.
Twitter right now. Like
Right
when you
now,
look at the,
and
yeah.
I yes.
Now here's the, I read some of Mike Cernovich's stuff and some of Victor Pride stuff and Good Looking Loser, and they're all fun guys. They all have their quirks and issues, as do we all. But I've
Yeah.
also seen what happens when they get attacked. I've seen how
Uh,
people troll through everything they've ever done to peel out. They will sift through a pile of dog poop to find one golden kernel of something they can misconstrue and say, look at this person. What he wrote about this person that may not be related to anything today, but we're going to pull it out. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. I don't want that to be you. I don't want the day that some giant organization says we want Ed Lattimore to stand in front of the crowd, talk to these kids, talk to these people in my business, and holy shit, there's a picture of him standing next to a drug dealer.
nah, that's a
Because hey, you're not there now, but you will be. You are going to be much greater than you are. And when that day comes, and that person who hates you, and by the way, the person who hates you is going to be someone you've broken bread with. It's going to be
um
someone you've had in your house for dinner. It's going to be a woman you used to love or used to love you. It's going to be a man who you used to think of as a friend. It won't be a stranger. I promise you this. And when they come for you with their steely knives, they're going to know exactly where to start cleaving. And that's going to be the person to send out to all the press companies and say, don't do business with Ed. And they're never going to use context. And they're never going to talk about what it really meant. And they're not going to take into effect that it's 5 years ago. One of the things that the internet does to us, in my opinion, and please feel free to refute, is it puts us into a constant state of a perpetual block of ice. Everything you do is the way you were forever. There's going
okay.
to be enough. Go ahead.
No, I agree with that so far, and I really like that the way you put that. Everything we do, is us forever. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can write something and develop I've written things and then gone back later and talked about them differently. But the thing is, someone somewhere, that's all I ever was. And I'm not catering to that person. And I'm fortunate. I've had my trial by fire. I had some people say some horrible things about me online. Fortunately, I have enough friends in law enforcement and I have enough friends that are lawyers that told me I did exactly the right thing. You know what I did? Go ahead, guess.
You didn't respond?
I didn't respond. I printed it. I took it to the courthouse and I filed defamation lawsuits. Now, to be clear, these were not people that had any money. But when you do that, it creates a clear, consistent legal trail, and they must appear in court and defend what they said.
No kid. What happens if they don't appear? Just curious.
You just win,
Oh, that's
and you can say, I want $10 gazillion in whatever the limit is for personal court. They don't show up, they're fucked. But what happens is that now you get to make a public example. It's like the Candyman. Speak my name, and I will appear. So if you don't do it with some reverence, if you're not willing to back up what you say, I'm never going to have a Twitter beef. I'm never going to write anything bad about them. What frustrated some people who, were called in to try to mediate, some older people who I respect, said, hey, man, is there another way we can do this? I said, of course not. I want war. They said, yeah, man, but this is going to get ugly. No, it's already ugly. When they said my name disrespectfully and said I was a person that I am not, I'm going to hold them accountable. Do you want to talk to him? Maybe I can broker a meeting. Nope. I'll see him downtown. And when you work for yourself, I'm like, what were they going to accomplish anyway? Who's going to fire me? Who's going to not hire me? Did it feel good to accuse me of horrible things online because you were mad? Of course not. Now all of a sudden it's a different issue. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: I can afford to do that. I don't care. You got a woman that you've been with for 4 years. You're thinking about a baby with. Your whole situation is different.
Yeah, man. It's not often I come on the podcast and as a guest and I get the knowledge, man.
So again, it's just one of those. I'm not giving the enemy any information. I'm not giving them any intel. I'm not giving them anything at all to help them come after me.
Now, what do you do when someone just decides that they're not a fan of your writing, like some of the things in general that you write? Like, do you let that stifle the creative process, and you kind of censor yourself on some things you might want
Nope,
to say?
not even once.
So, okay, so I guess to counter to come back at that is like, what's the line? Like, do you every person that comes after you just blow back at, or do you decide that everything you put out there might be the wrong impression for somebody that's going to see it the first time and go, you know what, fuck that guy. But the rest
No,
of
no, no.
it,
Go ahead. I apologize. I should not have cut you off.
but I guess what I mean is like, where's the balance? Like, there's clearly like writing things that will be out there as a first impression, and 1 minute, like you were saying about the people who will want to sell ads, maybe they like something you said this week, but next week, no doubt, I'm gonna piss you off. Like at the same time, as a person writing from your heart and with your truth, like there's no way you're gonna always hit and resonate with
Right.
everybody. And I'd imagine that sometimes in not resonating, you mortally offend, perhaps. And I suppose what I want to know, or what I'm curious about, is how you would advise writing that line as a creator.
I don't write any lines as a creator. I go whole hog 100% what I want to do. Now, I want to be clear. I don't want to confuse misrepresenting me with not liking me. I'm okay with people not liking what I wrote. Most
Okay,
people don't like me. That's okay.
I see
What
what
I
you're saying.
right, what I
Okay,
will not tolerate is now somebody says, "Hey, this is what this dude wrote. Can you believe he wrote this?" I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. But if you wrote, "Oh, by the way, he drains the blood of kittens on the weekends," now we've got a problem. Now I'm going to find out who
okay,
you
and
are in the
and
real
now
world.
okay, and now let's go back full circle, just so I understand clearly. What your beef is with the Rick Ross picture is perhaps someone's going to see that and think that I endorse drug dealing or the consumption of crack cocaine, something to that effect. And with that picture, it's not going to be a difficult leap to make.
Right. If I wanted to build a case against you, you should make it hard for me. You should make it really difficult for me to dig up something that could be 100% looked at as this is awful. Now, I could build it. You could build a case against me claiming that I'm insensitive. You can build a case against me arguing that I am unevenly sexist towards men because I hold men a lot more accountable for things than other people. You could build a case against me for endorsing questioning authority, but you couldn't build a case against me for saying I'm a criminal. You could never build a case against me saying I endorse criminal behavior. You could never build a case against me saying that I am anything other than something I've already admitted to. That's the difference. And every piece
Okay.
of evidence you find, for example, I like guns. Guns are fun. I am a recreational gun person. I've never at any point taken a picture holding a weapon, and I
Okay.
never will. An old gunslinger I know who collects guns, shoots guns, awesome guy. One of the things he told me when I was very young, he says, never take a picture holding a gun. Because if the day ever comes when you are forced to deploy that weapon, they're going to say you're a bloodthirsty killer and you were waiting for the chance to shoot somebody as evidence from you holding this gun trophy and smiling like a madman.
Which is exactly what they do whenever one of these kids get popped by the police and they want to paint a picture. They go and pull up the picture of the kid with a gun. You know, whether he should have a gun or not is irrelevant. But of all the pictures they could pull up to show, they show that picture.
Exactly. That's why I will never, under any circumstance, take a picture with a gun.
Huh? That's some next level thought. Because I can tell you right now, like outside of the military, I've been fired a gun, never fired a sidearm or anything like that, and I can tell you right now, with the way my brain works, I'd be like, man, come and get this picture. Like now, I'm gonna think, man, this is my great topic. Yeah, now I'm gonna think real hard about that. I never, and to be honest with you, like no one, you're the first person to ever say something to me like that about that Rick Ross picture, and I never looked at it that way.
Yeah. So I mean, that's you took a picture standing next to a gun, smiling. So if the day
Right?
ever comes,
No,
if
you're
the day ever
exactly
comes
right.
when the police pull you over because and this is something that happened to a friend of mine. He saw a buddy of his, gave his buddy a ride. The police pulled the car over. His buddy had narcotics in his pocket. My cousin didn't, but they took his car anyway. And they built a case saying, well, wait a minute, you two are doing drugs together. My cousin said, of course I'm not doing drugs together. He says, well, this is your friend, right? Right. You two have a friendship that's evident in your phone, and you gave him a ride, so you've known him all this time. You two have pictures together hugging on Facebook as buddies, but you're telling me you're not doing drugs with him. That's why, I
Wow.
mean, one of those things we talked about cutting people off, one of the most
Yeah.
ruthless things I had to do that pisses a lot of people off, I don't have a second set of standards for people I grew up with or that I love that I do for strangers. There's nobody in my Rolodex that I am actively aware of that's ever even committed a crime. You're not going to catch me in a situation where you can associate me with people who are doing bad things because I know the system is out to get me. I can't afford it. I can't afford to be nice. I had a cousin who said, hey, I got my life together. Can I come and stay with you for a while? This is when I was living in Las Vegas, Nevada. He says, can I come and stay with you for a while? I've got my life back together. I did that 18 months in jail and it straightened me out. And I believed him. He'd been out for 2 years. And I sat down on the phone and I said, you can't come here. He said, well, why not? Is there a problem? Is your house suddenly getting smaller? I said, no, because you got a criminal record. You're a felon. I have things in my house that I have to federally register for. And whether or not it's my fault, if anything happens regarding those things, I go to jail for it. He said, but I would never put you in danger. You know, I would never touch anything that's not mine. I said, I know that, but I'm not going to gamble my future on it.
Well, you know what, man? I got a buddy I grew up with, and I'll never forget the day I had to tell him he wasn't a lot. I mean, and he had done enough stuff beforehand, and I should have been smarter about it. Fortunately, I never got in any trouble. But the last time he got in my car, he left the joint or something, and I'm like, oh man, this motherfucker. And I remember how mad it made me. I didn't get mad because he wouldn't care. I just now whenever he messages me about anything, I'm like, cool, man, cool. Like, cause I can't risk that, right? I totally understand that move. Now, I think it's real. I think it's real, but that's a lot of control, man. Because sometimes I think I'm a solid cat like that. Like I would go, man, nah, you messed up, you're out. But if a person did the 2 years, yeah, man, I feel like I might cave and be like, all right, man, come on now, you learned your lesson. But what have you had experiences where you learn that people don't learn?
Well, I've had experiences where most of the time nothing goes wrong, but when it does, it was always something you could have avoided.
Oh
You know,
man, that's brilliant. I'm a quote tweet that. Yep.
that's the thing. But nobody wants to listen until it happens to them. Nobody wants to listen until they found out that yeah, hey, bad things do happen. I remember being in a big party with a cousin of mine, and a fight broke out between two guys who were looking at the same girl as usual. And one of my younger cousins, not by too much, maybe a year or two, she was watching the fight, and I bodily picked her up over my shoulder. I don't know if you're familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or wrestling, the gable grip. It's an over-under grip. You can get under somebody's hips. I
Yeah,
put her
yeah,
over
yeah.
my shoulder, and I dragged her out. And she was cussing me out and blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, if somebody gets shot that's an innocent bystander, it's not because bullets go in zigzags to hit you. It's because everybody wants to say, oh, what's happening? I'm not going to be there. And I've had and this was a place where I did not expect anything bad to happen because I have a hard line policy. If I think something bad is going to happen or potentially happen, I don't show up.
Okay. The ways, yeah. So caught you up guard. You was like, all right, just get out.
Yeah, yeah. When I saw something happen, I was like, nope, not me. I don't want to know who's going to win because everybody's going to. Well, here's the other thing. I know 3 people in prison for murder, and only one of them meant to do it. I remember being at it was 2 decades ago, a very infamous situation happened in my hometown where a giant sporting event went down, a riot broke out, one kid got hit with a table or a chair. A piece of it was broken on the side that nobody saw. It punctured his heart and killed him, and he was in high school.
Oh no.
The kid who did it has never been released from prison, to the best of my knowledge. Now, that might have happened, but I know he did a long stretch. Because it didn't matter whether or not he meant to kill the kid. He was trying to hit him with a table or a chair, and the kid just died.
Hmm.
I don't want to be around that nonsense. So if I believe that there's somebody who is even anywhere close to doing something bad, not me. Not me at all. But again, I had the privilege or misfortune of seeing those things. So I never had to figure it out later on. Oh, well, what might happen if this happens? What might happen if that happens? So
Yeah, that's a real. Hmm. It's like I always get mad. Well, now she knows better, man. But like if there's like an accident on the side of the road, and tell me how you feel about this, right? There's like an accident on the side of the road or something, and people are gathered around. It looks like it might be something questionable, not somebody that got hurt, but like somebody that was beefing about something. I'm always like, let's just go. Like, we're not gonna sit around and watch. I don't care what happens. We'll call the police from inside the house. We don't need to be out there to see it, anything like that. Because I don't want to be around, in case it does go sour, man. And they're like, "What'd you see? What do you know?" And then that's just shit I got to deal with. And maybe they don't believe me that I don't know anything.
well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm with you. Anybody who says let's help them is a liability to the team. Because one of the things, well, get this. I told you I have a lot of friends who are police officers, and one of the first things they talked about early, and they were like, "Listen, all my buddies who are cops tell you over and over. If you have any friends that are cops, and you talk to them when they're not on duty, and you're talking privately, they'll tell you avoid the police at all cost. At every single opportunity, stay away from the cops. Don't talk to the cops. Don't look at the cops. Do everything you can to stay away from them. Because once you're in that system, it's impossible to get out."
Man. And it makes you feel, man, a lot of times I reflect on this, man, like how fortunate I am to have never been arrested. I mean, especially in the hard drinking days. And a lot of times, like little stuff, like crossing the border into Canada. Like, you can't cross into Canada if you get anything. And I'm just like, man, every time we cross the border driving up there, I'm like, man, I'm so happy I made it out of that situation, and I got lucky and I didn't get arrested. I didn't get, charged or anything, stuff like that. Because what was the book I was reading? How to Arrest Proof Yourself. They talk about it. The electronic plantation. Once you're in the electronic plantation.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It could even be for just a little arrest and nothing. You're not charged or anything. But now when your name comes up, you are arrested, and they can see it.
That's absolutely true. That's 100%. Once you're in that system, once you got that on your jacket, to get it off is almost impossible. And now you're in a situation where, again, everybody wants to believe that just because their friend is the bad one and they're not, they can have that friend. It's just not true. That old world wisdom that your mother tells you about be careful who you hang out with, be careful who you hang out with, because if one of your buddies does something stupid, you just don't know. The only person whose name you can guarantee is yours. Your best friend in the world might be in a situation that you don't know about and did some shit that you don't approve of.
And then man, and that's why you are free right now. I mean, just free in general, like lifestyle and everything. That's, man. I'm just sitting here like blown away because it's not often people say stuff to me and I'm like, I never thought about it that way. This is real solid, man. Like,
well, I'm glad. Well, there are 2 things I need you to say to me. Ready?
Okay, what's that?
One, who should I talk to next? Tell me somebody interesting that you can introduce me to that would be good to talk to on my podcast. Somebody you know.
That I know personally, like what a web
Yeah.
presence not. Oh,
No, I mean, listen, I don't care if they have a web presence. Somebody interesting.
uh, I think you should talk to my partner I've been working with, man. I think you should talk to Cam Awesome. I really hate. He won't hear this. I really hate saying his name. I liked it better when he was Cam Thompson, but I really like the guy. I think you should talk to him. He does a lot of good, and he's learned a lot about life and continues to learn it through boxing. Easily more as much as me, and really the guy I trust, and I trust to bounce ideas off of, and he bounces ideas off of me, and I really. He's probably the first guy I've met in a long time who I really want to see succeed, and no matter what he does. I mean, it's not like I'm ever hating on anybody, but I feel personally invested and interested in him doing well, it means a lot to me.
Excellent. I will definitely do that. Well, the other thing I was going to say, and I ask everybody this, give me a couple of songs that I can maybe do an intro to or an extra to, or what do you like to walk to the ring to? When people hear your voice, what do
Oh
you want to hear in the
man,
lead in?
I mean, what I'm listening to right now is "Eat" by Jada Kiss. Love
Okay.
Jada Kiss. If you, I don't know if you're familiar with him, man, but one of the great rappers from the '90s. They literally don't make rap like that anymore. But
You know
when
what?
say that,
I'm going to find you some vintage. I'm going
like
to
some
find you
stuff
some
from the
vintage.
'80s.
You know what? Give me a minute. I'm gonna find you something vintage that I'm gonna put on here in the intro, and then we're gonna use "Eat" for the outro unless my technology fails me.
Okay, that's cool.
Anything else I can help you with? Anything I can do for you?
Man, at the moment, nah, man, I'm just blown away, man, because you really, I mean, if we could sum up the podcast, aside from us going back and forth, this is probably the first time I was on a show where I'm sitting here and my mind has shifted about some things that hadn't been there before. Never thought about that, like that whole building the case. If something bad happens, it's one thing if people don't like your stuff. It's another thing if they can paint you to be a different person, that they can build evidence behind. Dude, I'm telling you now, like I'm not just saying that. Like I never thought about that picture that way until you said that to me.
I'm glad. Well, two things we're definitely gonna talk about is you're gonna talk to me a little bit more about how to do an ebook of my own, and I'm definitely gonna give you everything that I have on how to get into the copy editing, proofwriting, proofreading game.
Okay, man. Thank you very much, and I'm very very blessed, man. I don't even say this often, man. I use this verb, but blessed. But this was just a real fortuitous meeting, man. Thank you for having me on, for real.
All right. You have a good night.